Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we are heading deep into one of the American Southwest's absolute best-kept secrets. We're talking about the Paria Canyon-Vermilion Cliffs Wilderness. If you're someone who geeks out over stunning geology, massive remote landscapes, and just incredibly resilient ecosystems, you are going to be totally hooked on this.
To keep us on track, here's our expedition itinerary. We're going to start with Arizona's best-kept secret, then explore a geological wonderland, meet the locals in the living desert, and finally chart our course for planning your wild adventure.
So, let me ask you a question. Are you completely tired of the massive crowds at places like Sedona or the Grand Canyon? I mean, we've all been there, right? You head out to connect with nature and suddenly you're elbowing through a sea of tourists just to find a parking spot. It kind of ruins the vibe. But what if I told you there's a place right next door with that same jaw-dropping beauty, but practically zero crowds?
Which brings us to our first stop. Section 1, Arizona's best-kept secret.
Tucked right on the border of northern Arizona and southern Utah, this sprawling territory managed by the Bureau of Land Management is geographically super close to the Grand Canyon, yet somehow it stays totally under the radar. We are talking about 112,000 acres of protected wilderness. To put that into perspective, while millions of people are literally crammed onto paved trails just a couple hours away, out here you get pure, raw, dramatic cliffs stretching as far as the eye can see. Just ultimate solitude.
All right, let's move into our second leg. Section 2, a geological wonderland.
When you actually get out there, it's like a giant geological puzzle. Ridges, arches, narrow canyons, all sculpted by millions of years of wind and water. And the absolute star of the show here is the wave. It's this mesmerizing sandstone formation, famous for its vibrant red and gold flowing patterns. It looks like a painting. But here's the catch. It is so fragile that access is restricted to a strictly limited permit lottery. Winning one of those permits is incredibly tough, but man, if you do, you're setting off on an exclusive, once-in-a-lifetime quest.
But hey, even if the lottery doesn't go your way, you are not out of luck. There is another premier route right along the Paria River, squeezing between towering canyon walls that shoot hundreds of feet straight up overhead. It's honestly one of the most epic wilderness treks in the entire Southwest. Just imagine spending days navigating sandy riverbanks, wading through shallow streams, and hiking deep into these intensely narrow slot canyons. It's a completely immersive experience.
Okay, moving right along to Section 3, the living desert.
Now, looking at all that sheer rock, you might think it's just a beautiful, barren wasteland. Actually, scratch that. This harsh environment is surprisingly alive. We're talking desert bighorn sheep effortlessly scaling cliffs, mule deer, coyotes darting around, golden eagles soaring way up high, and tons of lizards and desert reptiles scurrying underfoot. It's such a cool contrast, a place that looks totally inhospitable, yet is absolutely packed with life that is perfectly adapted to survive.
But the undisputed king of this canyon is up in the sky. The Vermilion Cliffs are actually one of the absolute best spots in the world to see the endangered California condor. As one of North America's largest birds, its presence adds this incredible layer of ecological significance to the whole area. Catching a glimpse of one of these massive birds riding a thermal updraft over the canyon, that is a total game changer for any trip.
Finally, let's talk logistics in Section 4, planning your wild adventure. Look, as stunning as this place is, you cannot just show up. You have to prep, and that starts with the seasons. Spring and fall, absolutely the sweet spot. Mild temps, blooming desert plants, just perfect hiking weather. But summer? Summer is brutal extreme heat, plus a massive risk of monsoon flash floods that can literally tear through those narrow slot canyons with zero warning. And winter brings sudden snow and ice. So checking the forecast isn't just a good idea, it is step one for sheer survival. The official guides hit the nail on the head when they say planning months in advance is recommended. Because they limit visitor numbers so strictly, any overnight trip or getting to places like the Wave means navigating those highly competitive permits. And listen, once you're out there, practicing leave no trace principles isn't just some polite suggestion, it's the absolute required code of conduct. It's how we keep this fragile ecosystem intact for the next generation of adventurers.
And when it comes to your pack, packing smart is literally your lifeline. You are going to need a ton of water, hardcore sun protection, and a real, reliable GPS or physical map. Proper boots, emergency supplies, and the right clothes are non-negotiable. Why? Because out there, cell phone service is practically a myth. You are completely off the grid. Total self-sufficiency is the only way to make sure your trip is unforgettable for the right reasons.
So that wraps up our explainer, but I want to leave you with this one question. Are you ready to leave the crowds behind and actually brave the wild? We've looked at the mind-blowing geology, the surprisingly tough wildlife, and the gritty logistics of surviving Arizona's best-kept secret. I really hope you're walking away feeling energized, informed, and hey, maybe you're even opening a new tab right now to look up that permit lottery. Thanks for hanging out for this explainer. Stay safe and never stop exploring.